You know, in the high-stakes world of international football, a single document can literally change everything. But what happens when that document is a complete and utter fake? Well, that's what we're diving into today. This is the story of a scandal that rocked a national team to its very core. We're talking forged birth certificates, flat-out denials, and a massive FIFA investigation that blew the whole thing wide open.
And the fallout from this whole thing? Oh, it was catastrophic. 7 international players, guys who were supposed to be the new stars of Malaysia's national team, were banned from all football-related activities for a full year. Just like that, their careers were completely put on ice.
And it wasn't just the players. The National Federation, the Football Association of Malaysia, or FAM, got hit with a staggering fine of 350,000 Swiss francs. FIFA was sending a crystal clear message. This kind of stuff has very, very serious consequences. So it all just begs this simple but kind of shocking question. How did this even happen? How was an entire national team's strategy built on a foundation of pure forgery and deceit? All right, let's break it all down. So it all kicked off with a plan, a really ambitious plan that, as it turns out, was fatally flawed from the start. It was all about fast-tracking the national team's success. Back in early 2025, the FAM launched what they called a heritage search. The idea was pretty straightforward. Scout and naturalize foreign-born players who had some kind of Malaysian roots, say a grandparent born in the country, to give the national team an instant talent boost. And pretty soon they found their guys, 7 of them, coming from football hotbeds like Spain, Argentina, Brazil, and the Netherlands. But just take a look at their birthplaces. Not a single one of them was born in Malaysia. Their entire eligibility was hanging by a single thread, the claim that they had a Malaysian grandparent, a claim that, well, investigators would soon discover was built on nothing but sand. Okay, so the whole scheme first hit a major snag after Malaysia, with their new star players, crushed Vietnam 4-0. A formal complaint got filed with FIFA. Somebody raised an alarm about just how suspiciously fast these players had been naturalized. And believe it or not, that one complaint was all it took to trigger a full-blown FIFA investigation. FIFA's investigators were smart. They went straight to the source. They completely bypassed the documents that the FAM had submitted and instead requested the original, official birth certificates of the players' grandparents directly from the authorities in their home countries. This, right here, was the killer move. And wow, this slide just lays out the sheer audacity of the whole fraud. On the left, you've got the birthplaces listed on the documents the FAM sent to FIFA, all conveniently located in Malaysia. And on the right, that's the reality, confirmed by official records. It was undeniable. Not one of these grandparents was born in Malaysia. The documents were total and complete forgeries. And get this, the forgeries weren't just fraudulent, they were sloppy. I mean, we're talking amateur hour mistakes. You've got an official Spanish document that suddenly has English text on it. The Malaysian city of Kuching was misspelled as Luching. One certificate even listed a player's grandmother as male. Yeah, you heard that right. Plus, investigators found clear, obvious signs of digital editing, with parts of the original records just visibly blurred and whited out. It's just incredible. So, once the fraud was out in the open, the blame game began immediately. This is where it all turns into a kind of courtroom drama, with both the players and the Federation pointing fingers at literally everyone but themselves. So on one side, you had the players who were painting themselves as these totally innocent victims. They said they just trusted their agents and the FAM and had absolutely no idea any of the documents were fakes. Then you have the FAM, who blamed it all on rogue staff members, calling the forgeries administrative adjustments that were made under pressure and definitely not part of some big institutional conspiracy. But that whole innocent victim narrative from the players, it started to unravel pretty fast under questioning. When they asked Gabriel Aracha if he'd even bothered to look at the family documents he gave to his agent, the very documents his entire international career depended on, his response was just stunning. He said, "I wasn't even interested." Then there was Facundo Garces. They asked him why he never questioned his agent about how there could possibly be 2 different birth certificates for his grandfather, one real, one fake. His answer? "It was not my responsibility to verify such matters." And maybe the most damning of all was Hector Hevel. He straight up admitted to signing an official government form that said he'd lived in Malaysia for 10 years, which was a complete lie. His excuse? "I signed without reading." You can start to see a pattern emerging here, right? The Federation's credibility wasn't looking so great either. They made a big show of suspending their Secretary General to make sure there was a fair investigation. But then, the date before the big appeal hearing, that same suspended official was reportedly spotted and photographed hanging out with senior FIFA officials. It didn't exactly scream independent review. So, with all the excuses and finger-pointing falling completely flat, FIFA's appeal committee was ready to hand down its final damning verdict. In the end, the whole decision really came down to this key legal idea: gross negligence. The committee basically said, look, even if the players didn't personally fire up Photoshop and fake these documents, their complete and total lack of curiosity about their own eligibility was a severe and reckless failure of their professional duty. They totally rejected what they called the players' flawed victim narrative. And they brought up a core legal principle: you can't benefit from your own wrongdoing or negligence. Signing documents without reading them or just not bothering to ask the most basic questions isn't a defense. It's actually part of the problem. So ultimately, the appeals failed for 4 big reasons. First, the players kept changing their story about the FAM. Second, their own admissions that they were signing official documents without even reading them. Third, the fact that they had so many chances to ask simple questions and just chose not to. And finally, and this is the big one, these forgeries weren't some small mistake. They were the absolute key that unlocked their eligibility to play for Malaysia in the first place. This whole scandal really leaves us with a critical question that goes way beyond just this one case. In this world of agents, federations, and life-changing money and opportunities, where do you draw the line? Where does trusting the people around you end, and where does your own personal responsibility finally begin?